Lost Cosmonauts. Lost cosmonauts are referred to the Soviet cosmonauts who went to space but unfortunately due to mission failures could not survive and never came back to Earth, with their demise never being acknowledged by Soviet space authorities in order to hide the failures in the space race during the Cold War. As the inverted commas signify, this is of course all so far but in the theories. The Lost Day. The Lost Day is the term given to this social media post which suggests that NASA actually discovered a missing day in history during some of their research, which clearly aligns with the date of a biblical account where God actually stopped the moon and sun from moving for the daylight to remain for longer. Of course, there is no other evidence found anywhere so far of this so-called discovery by NASA, or even this curious little clip of an online post, which is causing the chaos. So maybe bigger than the question if NASA found this lost day is where did the original poster find this article? The Black Knight. The Black Knight has been dubbed for a mysterious source of weird signals that are reported to have been received at different locations and occasions in human history by various individuals around the world. Probably starting way back around 1899 with Nikola Tesla himself at the Tesla Tower. Nobody really knows where the name Black Knight came from, but the image that can't help but come to mind and in Google results with that name now is this one. This unidentified object that was captured during STS-88 mission while the crew was assembling the International Space Station, which has really become the face of this mystery. Because it was here that after decades of speculation, theorists finally were looking at a captured object that could be linked to all these incidents. And it just made sense to link and made them think, yep, this is it. That's where it's all been coming from. Likely because from alien spy satellite to a cry for help in form of an SOS message from the beyond, such a floating thing can be linked with anything at all. Even if it is just
supposed to put a thermal blanket on the outside of the station to protect it from heat losses. I was ahead on my task, so Jim offered to give me the thermal blanket and let me attach it. When somebody said, "What's that floating away?" I looked and I saw this blanket. I looked at the tether where it was supposed to be and it wasn't there.
Jerry, the thermal covers got away from you. How did it do that? I don't believe this.
It was a really bad feeling.
Edgar Mitchell. The massive popularity of Apollo 11 can very well mask other Apollo space flights that were part of the Apollo program, like Apollo 14, the 8th crewed space program, third to land on the moon and the first one to land in the lunar islands.
Apollo 14 achieved all the science that it had hoped to achieve, and it pressed the boundaries of space exploration in ways that future crews would build upon. And as we prepare to go back to the moon, we've definitely followed in the footsteps of these brave crews that went before us and build upon the scientific information that they returned.
With the crew that included Alan B. Shepard Jr., the commander, Stuart A. Roosa, command module pilot, and Edgar D. Mitchell, lunar module pilot. Edgar Mitchell was the 6th person to walk on the moon, but the first one to ever do a javelin throw on the moon.
It's the greatest javelin throw of the century. See if it is. Oh, Lefty himself, outstanding!
Initially supposed to be part of the ill-fated Apollo 13, Edgar eventually was able to set foot on moon in the Apollo 14 mission, during which he logged a total of 216 hours and 42 minutes in space, setting records along with Shepard and Roosa of most time and travel distance on the lunar surface, collecting about 94 pounds of rock and soil samples.
The samples returned from Apollo 14 were incredibly important. They told us so much about the formation of the solar system, so much about the material that makes up the moon. They found themselves in valleys that were deeper than they thought. They found themselves working up hills that were higher. This was an exploration at its finest.
Well, I'm going to try a little sand trap shot here.
For the colossal distance beyond the earth that he traveled through in his life on his road to glory, to actually leave the earth, he chose a place much nearer.
January 31st, 1971, Apollo 14 lifts off from the Kennedy Space Center. On board, astronauts Stuart Roosa, Alan Shepard, and Edgar Mitchell.
On the eve of the 45th anniversary of his lunar landing, when he passed away at 85 in his home in Florida, and in sleep,
They hold the record for the longest ever moonwalk.
possibly
9
dreaming
hours,
of
7
an
minutes.
endless journey
Traveled farther on
across the
surface than
universe.
anyone else.
Words are flying out like endless rain into a paper cup. They slither while they pass, they slip away across the universe. Pools or waves of joy are drifting through my open mind, possessing and caressing me. Jaguar Diva. Nothing's gonna change my world. Nothing's gonna change my world. Nothing's gonna change my world. Nothing's gonna change my world.
I have a very satisfied life, Larry, and it's because of the experience and because of the desire to make a contribution. My whole attitude toward life and toward being of service and toward pushing the frontiers has expanded.
Wow.
And there's great joy in doing that.